Lord Mayor Show 2025. Thousands turn out as City of London welcomes First Lady Lord Mayor. The air was crisp and filled with a sense of excitement, as if the streets themselves were holding their breath, waiting for something historic to happen. Today was not just any day. It was the day the city would welcome its first ever Lady Lord Mayor. The news had spread like wildfire in recent weeks, and now thousands of people were gathering, eager to witness history in the making. Families, tourists, students, business people, and elderly residents alike began filling the streets, forming a colorful, lively crowd that stretched from the Tower of London all the way to the Guildhall. People arrived early, knowing that the ceremonial event, famous around the world as the Lord Mayor Show, would attract large crowds. Some came in groups, chatting excitedly and taking pictures with their smartphones, while others strolled alone, their faces reflecting a mix of anticipation and curiosity. Street vendors had arrived even earlier, setting up small stalls that sold hot drinks, snacks, and souvenirs, hoping to catch the attention of those who had traveled from nearby neighborhoods or faraway cities. The smell of freshly baked pastries mingled with the crisp winter air, and the distant sounds of marching bands rehearsing added a lively rhythm to the morning. For many in the crowd, today was more than just a ceremonial parade. It was a moment of pride, a celebration of progress, and a chance to witness history firsthand. The Lady Lord Mayor was not only the first woman to hold this prestigious position in the City of London's long history, but she also represented hope and change for future generations. People spoke of her achievements, her dedication to public service, and the leadership qualities that had earned her the respect of city officials and citizens alike. Conversations buzzed along the streets, with some sharing stories of previous Lord Mayor shows they had attended, while younger visitors listened eagerly, absorbing the significance of the day. Tourists from around the world added to the excitement. Cameras clicked constantly as visitors tried to capture every moment, from the fluttering flags along the streets to the ornate buildings that lined the parade route. Many tourists had traveled long distances, having read about the Lord Mayor Show in travel guides and online blogs. Some had come specifically to witness the first female Lord Mayor, understanding that such an event was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Others simply wanted to experience the grandeur of a tradition that had continued for centuries, marveling at the mixture of historical pageantry and modern celebration. The streets were alive with color. Banners and flags hung from windows and lampposts, proudly displaying the City of London's emblem. Red, white, and gold dominated the scene, adding a festive tone to the morning. Children waved small flags, their laughter echoing through the narrow streets, while parents pointed out the historical landmarks they passed. Street performers, dressed in bright costumes, practiced their acts along the route, entertaining early arrivals and creating a lively, welcoming atmosphere. The mixture of history, culture, and celebration made the morning feel magical, as if time had folded in on itself, connecting the past and the present in a single moment. City officials had spent weeks preparing for this day. Every detail had been meticulously planned, from the parade route to the security arrangements, to ensure that the event would run smoothly. Volunteers stood at key points along the streets, ready to guide visitors, answer questions, and maintain order. Despite the careful planning, there was an air of spontaneity, as the crowd's energy created a sense of unpredictability. People clapped, cheered, and waved at passing vehicles, eager to be part of the celebration. News reporters moved through the crowd, interviewing spectators and capturing the excitement for live broadcasts, while photographers crouched at corners, waiting for the perfect shot of the parade's first moments. As the hour of the ceremony approached, anticipation built to a near-tangible level. The hum of conversation softened as people paused to look toward the center of the city, where the parade would begin. There was a sense of shared excitement, a feeling that everyone present was part of something larger than themselves. Conversations turned to the significance of having a female Lord Mayor, with many noting that it was a sign of changing times. Young girls looked up at the grand buildings with wide eyes, imagining that one day they too could hold positions of leadership. Older residents smiled knowingly, remembering when the idea would have seemed impossible. The history behind the Lord Mayor Show added depth to the excitement. For centuries, This event had celebrated the inauguration of the Lord Mayor, a tradition filled with ceremonial splendor, colorful parades, and pageantry. The parade was not just a spectacle. It was a representation of the city's heritage, its governance, and its culture. Horses, carriages, banners, and musical performances had been part of the celebrations for generations. Today, all of that tradition would continue, but with a historic twist. This time, it would be led by a woman, breaking barriers and inspiring countless people who had long awaited such a moment. As the first notes of the ceremonial music echoed through the streets, the crowd grew silent, anticipation rising like a wave ready to break. Children perched on their parents' shoulders, tourists craned their necks to get a better view, and elderly spectators adjusted their coats against the cold while keeping their eyes fixed on the starting point of the parade. The moment had arrived when history, tradition, and celebration would converge in a single, unforgettable event. Every face in the crowd seemed to reflect the significance of the day. Curiosity, excitement, pride, and hope all mixed together in the atmosphere. In the midst of the crowd, strangers shared smiles, exchanged small talk, and expressed their excitement. People who had arrived alone found themselves talking to fellow spectators, sharing their thoughts on the event, and reflecting on the importance of the first female Lord Mayor. Some discussed her professional achievements, others her charitable work, and many spoke about what her leadership could mean for the city in the coming years. The sense of unity among the crowd was palpable, a reminder that such public events could bring people together, transcending differences of age, background, and nationality. Meanwhile, the Lady Lord Mayor herself was preparing for the moment that would define her place in history. Inside the Guildhall, she donned the traditional robes and ceremonial chains that had been worn by her predecessors. There was a quiet determination in her expression, a mix of humility and pride. She knew that the eyes of the city, and indeed the world, were upon her. Her advisors and colleagues moved efficiently around her, ensuring that every detail was perfect. The Lady Lord Mayor reflected on the long journey that had brought her to this point, from her early career to her dedication to public service, and now to the historic moment when she would officially assume office. By mid-morning, the streets were packed, the air thick with excitement and the scent of festive foods. Vendors sold mulled wine, hot chocolate, and sweet treats, while street performers continued to entertain early attendees. Everyone seemed caught up in the shared energy of the moment, a celebration that was both personal and collective. Cameras clicked constantly, not just to capture images, but to preserve memories of a day that would be remembered for generations. Children waved enthusiastically at approaching bands, older residents offered historical insights, and tourists marveled at the colorful spectacle around them. As the crowd waited, the sense of history became almost tangible. People spoke in hushed tones about the centuries of tradition behind the Lord Mayor show, imagining the generations who had stood in these same streets to witness similar celebrations. Yet this day felt different, more special, more symbolic. The presence of the first female Lord Mayor added a layer of meaning, reminding everyone that history was not only something to remember, but something to witness and be part of. The city itself seemed to embrace the occasion, with its historic buildings standing tall and proud, as if acknowledging the significance of the moment unfolding below. Finally, as the first official signals of the parade began, a cheer rose from the crowd, echoing off the walls of the surrounding buildings. People raised their cameras, phones, and hands, ready to capture every moment of this historic day. There was a sense of anticipation that bordered on reverence, a recognition that this was not just a parade or a celebration, but a turning point in the long history of the City of London. Families held onto each other, tourists exchanged excited glances, and the crowd collectively held its breath, ready to witness history in motion. The morning had set the stage perfectly. The City of London, with all its rich history and vibrant culture, had prepared to welcome its first Lady Lord Mayor in a way that was both grand and intimate, ceremonial and personal. The air was charged with excitement, the streets alive with color, and the hearts of the spectators full of pride and hope. Every moment, from the early arrivals to the last-minute preparations, contributed to a sense that this day would be remembered for generations, not just as a ceremonial event, but as a symbol of progress, inclusion, and the enduring spirit of the city itself. The parade began. slowly, almost ceremoniously, with the first notes of music drifting through the crisp morning air. The streets of the City of London, lined with spectators, seemed to come alive as the procession moved forward. Every person in the crowd leaned slightly forward, eager to see the grand spectacle that had been centuries in the making. Horses adorned in golden and red harnesses pranced proudly along the route, their hooves striking the cobblestones with rhythmic precision. Each horse seemed to carry a sense of dignity and history, as if they understood the importance of the day and the excitement surrounding it. The carriages followed, ornate and polished to a shine, reflecting the sunlight in dazzling patterns. Dignitaries from across the city and beyond rode within, their ceremonial robes fluttering in the cold breeze. The atmosphere was electric, a blend of formality and festivity that made the event feel timeless. Spectators cheered and waved as the carriages passed, many capturing photographs to remember this historic moment. Children waved small flags, while their parents encouraged them to watch carefully, pointing out the details of the costumes, banners, and decorations that adorned the procession. At the center of the parade rode the Lady Lord Mayor herself, seated in a magnificent gilded state coach. Her ceremonial robes, adorned with gold embroidery and intricate patterns, reflected both tradition and authority. A golden chain of office rested around her neck, symbolizing the responsibilities and honor of her position. Her expression was calm yet radiant, a combination of pride, humility, and excitement. She waved gracefully to the crowd, and in response, thousands of voices erupted in cheers, applause, and joyful shouts. For many, this was a moment they had long awaited, a rare occasion when history was unfolding right before their eyes. The pageantry surrounding the parade was as captivating as it was grand. Marching bands played lively music, their instruments gleaming under the winter sun. The music carried through the streets, inspiring the crowd to clap and move in rhythm. Colorful banners depicting the City of London's emblem and the symbols of various guilds waved proudly in the wind, creating a striking contrast against the historic stone buildings. Each group in the parade represented a different aspect of the city's culture and history, from trade guilds and charities to civic organizations and community groups. Spectators marveled at the attention to detail, noting the careful planning and dedication that had gone into the procession. Alongside the official participants were performers dressed in vibrant costumes, reenacting scenes from London's long and storied history. Actors depicted events from the city's past, bringing the parade to life in a way that was both entertaining and educational. Children in the crowd watched with wide eyes, their imaginations sparked by the colorful displays and lively performances. Street performers mingled among the spectators, juggling, balancing, and performing acrobatics to keep the excitement high between the main procession. The mix of tradition and entertainment created an atmosphere of joy and wonder, keeping everyone engaged from start to finish. As the parade progressed, the crowd's enthusiasm seemed to grow with every passing moment. People waved and cheered not only for the Lady Lord Mayor, but for every participant who contributed to the spectacle. Elderly spectators recalled memories of past Lord Mayor shows, describing how the event had evolved over the years while maintaining its historic charm. Tourists listened intently, capturing every detail in photos and videos, eager to share the experience with friends and family back home. The sense of shared excitement created a communal feeling, as though the crowd itself was a part of the parade, contributing to the celebration in its own way. The Lady Lord Mayor's coach was followed by a series of other ceremonial carriages and floats, each more elaborate than the last. Some floats depicted important moments in the city's history, while others celebrated modern achievements and community initiatives. Children pointed excitedly at the displays, asking their parents questions about what they represented. Parents, in turn, explained the significance of the symbols and events, turning the parade into an informal history lesson that was both fun and memorable. Each float was met with cheers and applause, as the crowd acknowledged the effort and creativity involved in bringing these stories to life. The ceremonial aspect of the parade was matched by moments of personal connection. Spectators caught glimpses of friends, colleagues, or family members participating in the procession. Faces lit up with recognition and pride as loved ones passed by, waving and smiling. For some, it was a deeply emotional experience, a reminder that the Lord Mayor show was not just a public event, but also a personal celebration of community, achievement, and civic pride. The combination of history, culture, and human connection made the parade feel alive and meaningful, far beyond a simple display of tradition. As the procession neared the heart of the city, the significance of the event became even more apparent. The Lady Lord Mayor, surrounded by her official entourage, represented not only the city's governance, but also a milestone in gender equality and leadership. People reflected on the journey that had led to this moment, the challenges overcome, the barriers broken, and the progress achieved. Young girls in the crowd looked up with admiration, inspired to believe that they too could one day hold positions of leadership and responsibility. Older residents nodded in quiet approval, proud of the city's progress while appreciating the continuity of its cherished traditions. The streets were filled with cameras, phones, and journalists eager to capture every detail. News crews broadcast live footage, interviewing spectators and highlighting the historic nature of the event. Social media buzzed with posts, photos, and videos, connecting those present with audiences around the world. The global attention underscored the significance of the occasion, showing that while the parade was rooted in local tradition, its impact and inspiration reached far beyond the city of London. Every participant in the parade seemed aware of their role in history. Horses moved with measured elegance, bands played with perfect timing, and performers executed their routines flawlessly. The Lady Lord Mayor's presence added a unifying thread, a focal point that connected the past, present, and future of the city. Spectators could sense the care and dedication behind every detail, from the polished carriages to the perfectly timed musical performances. The atmosphere was celebratory yet respectful, a reflection of the city's pride in both its history and its ongoing progress. Throughout the parade, spontaneous moments of joy and surprise occurred. Children shouted excitedly when a band played a favorite tune, tourists clapped along with the music, and even street performers paused to acknowledge the applause of the crowd. These moments created a sense of intimacy within the grandeur, reminding everyone that despite the ceremonial nature of the event, the celebration belonged to all who were present. People laughed, cheered, and connected with one another, sharing a collective experience that would stay in their memories long after the parade ended. As the parade continued toward the Guildhall, anticipation grew for the moment when the Lady Lord Mayor would formally assume her duties. The crowd pressed closer to the route, eager for the final glimpses of the procession. The ceremonial music swelled, banners fluttered proudly, and the sun caught the golden details of the carriages and costumes, casting a warm glow over the historic streets. Spectators felt a sense of privilege, knowing they were witnessing a once-in-a-lifetime event that combined tradition, pageantry, and the promise of progress. The Lady Lord Mayor, aware of the significance of every step along the route, maintained her composed demeanor while acknowledging the crowd. Her waves and smiles were met with cheers, applause, and even tears of joy from some spectators. It was a moment of connection, bridging the gap between leadership and the citizens she represented. The crowd responded not just to her presence, but to what she symbolized: perseverance, dedication, and the breaking of barriers. The parade had become more than a procession. It was a celebration of history, achievement, and the shared spirit of the city. By the time the procession reached the Guildhall, the excitement had reached its peak. Spectators lined the streets, holding up their phones, waving, and shouting their congratulations. The Lady Lord Mayor's coach approached the steps, and the crowd erupted into sustained applause. Musicians played a final, triumphant tune, and the ceremonial aspect of the parade transitioned seamlessly into the formal events awaiting inside. The sense of history was palpable, and the energy of the crowd remained high, ensuring that the memory of this parade would linger long after the day had ended. The parade had been a perfect blend of tradition, celebration, and personal connection. It had engaged every sense. The sight of colorful floats, the sound of music and cheers, the smell of street food and winter air, and the touch of the communal excitement in the crowd. Every participant and spectator played a part in the unfolding history, making it clear that the Lord Mayor show was more than a ceremony. It was a shared experience that united the city in celebration. As the final carriages disappeared into the Guildhall, people lingered, savoring the moments they had witnessed. They talked excitedly about the parade, pointed out their favorite floats and performances, and reflected on the significance of having a female Lord Mayor. Children mimicked the marching bands, couples held hands, and friends shared photographs, creating lasting memories. The City of London had not only welcomed its first Lady Lord Mayor, but had also given its citizens and visitors a day to remember, a day of pageantry, pride, and celebration that would echo through history. After the grand parade concluded, the excitement did not fade. Instead, it grew stronger as the crowds slowly made their way toward the Guildhall, where the Lady Lord Mayor would address the city. The streets were still buzzing with energy, filled with the hum of conversations, laughter, and the occasional cheer. Families walked together, pointing out memorable moments from the parade, while tourists discussed the spectacular floats and performances they had witnessed. There was a feeling of anticipation in the air, a shared understanding that the next part of the day would be just as historic as the parade itself. Inside the Guildhall, preparations were underway to welcome the Lady Lord Mayor formally. The Grand Hall, with its high ceilings and historic architecture, had been carefully decorated for the occasion. Flags representing the City of London hung proudly from the walls, and golden ornaments glimmered in the sunlight streaming through the tall windows. Rows of chairs were arranged neatly, filled with city officials, community leaders, business representatives, and special guests who had traveled from across the United Kingdom and beyond. Everyone had taken their seats in anticipation of the moment when the Lady Lord Mayor would take the stage, ready to share her vision for the city. As the Lady Lord Mayor entered the hall, a wave of applause filled the room. She walked with quiet confidence, her ceremonial robes flowing gracefully behind her, and the golden chain of office gleaming in the light. Her presence commanded attention, yet there was a warmth to her demeanor that immediately put the audience at ease. She paused briefly to acknowledge those present, smiling and nodding, before moving toward the podium at the center of the hall. The room fell silent, all eyes focused on the woman who had made history and now stood ready to address the city. Her speech began with a note of gratitude. She thanked the citizens of the City of London, her colleagues, and everyone who had supported her journey to this historic moment. Her words were clear, sincere, and filled with humility, reflecting the respect she had for the traditions of the city while also signaling a readiness to bring positive change. She spoke about the responsibility that came with her position and the honor of representing a city with such a rich and diverse history. The audience listened intently, some nodding in agreement, others quietly reflecting on the significance of her words. The Lady Lord Mayor's vision for the city was central to her address. She spoke passionately about inclusivity, highlighting the importance of creating opportunities for everyone, regardless of their background. She emphasized the need for sustainable development, focusing on projects that would preserve the city's heritage while preparing it for the future. Her speech also touched on nurturing local talent, supporting small businesses, and fostering a sense of community pride. Every sentence resonated with the audience, who recognized both the practicality and the inspiration behind her words. Many in the crowd felt motivated, inspired to contribute to the city's growth and to embrace the positive changes she envisioned. Outside the Guildhall, the streets remained alive with celebration. Street performers continued their acts, drawing crowds who clapped and cheered at every trick and performance. Children danced along to the rhythm of live music, while families enjoyed the festive atmosphere, sampling hot drinks and snacks from nearby vendors. The parade may have ended, but the spirit of celebration lingered, as citizens and visitors alike took the time to savor the historic moment. Vendors smiled as they served drinks and treats, appreciating the joy and excitement that filled the air. Tourists captured these moments on cameras and phones, eager to share the energy and color of the day with friends and family back home. The Lady Lord Mayor also acknowledged the people outside the Guildhall in her speech. She expressed her gratitude to the thousands who had lined the streets to witness history in person, recognizing that their presence made the day even more memorable. Her words reflected a deep understanding of the city's spirit, highlighting the role of ordinary citizens in shaping its identity. The audience inside the hall and the crowds outside alike felt a sense of inclusion, as though they were all part of the celebration, contributing to a moment that would be remembered for generations. Personal stories began to emerge among the spectators. Many longtime residents shared memories of past Lord Mayor shows, recounting how the parades had evolved over the years while maintaining their charm and significance. Some spoke of attending these events as children, and now, decades later, they watched history unfold once again with a sense of pride. Young people, especially girls, were inspired by the Lady Lord Mayor's achievement, seeing in her a role model who had broken barriers and proven that leadership positions were attainable for everyone. Conversations in the crowd highlighted the connection between tradition and progress, emphasizing how this historic moment represented both continuity and change. Throughout the day, journalists and media crews captured the event from every angle. Interviews with spectators, live broadcasts, and social media posts ensured that the celebration reached far beyond the City of London. People around the world could witness the significance of the day, appreciating both the grandeur of the event and the symbolic milestone of a female Lord Mayor. Social media buzzed with photos and videos, with viewers commenting on the vibrant atmosphere, the ornate costumes, and the inspiring speeches. The global attention underscored the universal appeal of the event, showing that it was more than a local celebration. It was a story of achievement, history, and progress that resonated with people everywhere. Music played an essential role in maintaining the festive spirit. Musicians performed both inside and outside the Guildhall, their melodies echoing through the streets and filling the hall with energy. Bands played traditional marches alongside modern compositions, blending the old and the new in perfect harmony. Spectators clapped along, children danced, and performers smiled, feeding off the energy of the crowd. The music connected everyone present, creating a sense of unity and shared joy that added depth to the celebration. Food and community activities complemented the speeches and performances. Vendors offered traditional treats and warm drinks, drawing families and friends into small gatherings along the streets. People shared stories, laughed together, and discussed the significance of the day. The city's residents felt a renewed sense of pride, while visitors experienced the warmth of the community firsthand. The combination of culture, history, and communal celebration made the day immersive and memorable, leaving a lasting impression on all who participated. One of the most striking aspects of the celebration was the sense of connection between the Lady Lord Mayor and the people. Her speeches, gestures, and interactions created a feeling of closeness, breaking down barriers between leadership and citizens. People in the audience felt seen and heard, recognized as important participants in the city's ongoing story. The Lady Lord Mayor's ability to communicate both vision and gratitude resonated with everyone, reinforcing the idea that leadership was not only about authority, but also about service, inspiration, and community engagement. The event also highlighted the diversity of the City of London. Citizens from various backgrounds, nationalities, and professions came together, reflecting the city's vibrant and multicultural identity. Families, office workers, tourists, and community leaders mingled freely, united by the celebration. Children played together while adults discussed the significance of the day, creating bonds that transcended differences. The presence of so many different people, all sharing in the excitement and pride, emphasized the city's commitment to inclusivity and unity. As the afternoon progressed, the speeches concluded, leaving the audience inspired and reflective. The Lady Lord Mayor's words had conveyed not only her vision, but also a sense of hope and possibility. Citizens discussed the key points, making plans to engage with local initiatives, support community projects, and contribute to the city's growth. The event had become more than a formal ceremony. It had transformed into a source of motivation and collective pride, encouraging everyone to participate actively in shaping the future. Outside, the festive atmosphere continued as people lingered on the streets. Performers engaged with the crowd, musicians played lively tunes, and families savored the opportunity to celebrate history together. Vendors packed up slowly, exchanging smiles and goodbyes with satisfied customers. Tourists took a final look at the historic buildings and the colorful displays, capturing memories that would last a lifetime. The energy of the city remained high, fueled by the combination of tradition, achievement, and communal joy. In reflecting on the day, it was clear that the Lady Lord Mayor's address had a profound impact. It united people of all ages and backgrounds, celebrated history while looking forward to the future, and inspired a sense of civic pride and personal possibility. The speeches reminded citizens that progress was possible when communities worked together, honored tradition, and embraced new opportunities. Families, students, professionals, and tourists all left the Guildhall with a sense of connection, motivation, and gratitude, recognizing that they had witnessed something truly special. The day's events continued to resonate well into the evening. Stories, photos, and videos were shared among friends, families, and colleagues. Social media posts highlighted the speeches, the parade, and the historic significance of the first female Lord Mayor. The combination of ceremonial grandeur and personal engagement had created a lasting impression, ensuring that the celebration would be remembered for years to come. Citizens reflected on the importance of community, leadership, and history, while young people felt inspired to dream bigger and aim higher. The celebration at the Guildhall had been more than a formal event. It had become a symbol of hope, achievement, and unity. People left with smiles on their faces, a sense of pride in their city, and the memory of a day when history had been made. The Lady Lord Mayor's words, filled with sincerity, vision, and encouragement, had reached the hearts of everyone present. The streets, now quieter, seemed to hum with the energy of the day, as if the city itself was reflecting on the historic milestone it had just witnessed. As the Lady Lord Mayor's speeches concluded, and the formal ceremonies continued inside the Guildhall, the city streets remained vibrant, filled with people who were still caught up in the excitement of the historic day. Families lingered, sharing hot drinks and pastries while recounting their favorite moments from the parade. Tourists moved slowly along the streets, taking photographs of the historic buildings and the festive displays, wanting to capture every memory of this once-in-a-lifetime event. Conversations flowed easily, connecting strangers through shared wonder, pride, and curiosity. Among the crowd, personal stories began to emerge, adding depth to the celebration. Elderly residents remembered attending past Lord Mayor shows decades ago. Some recalled the parades of their youth, describing the colorful floats, the music, and the joy that filled the streets. They spoke of how the city had changed over the years, yet certain traditions had remained remarkably consistent. Now, witnessing a woman take the ceremonial office for the first time, they felt a unique sense of pride and fulfillment. It was a reminder that history was not only about the past, but also about the milestones of the present, and the legacy that would be passed on to future generations. Young spectators, especially girls, found inspiration in the Lady Lord Mayor's achievement. Many whispered excitedly to their parents about how they, too, could one day hold important leadership roles. Children imitated the marching bands, twirling imaginary batons and marching along the sidewalks, while older siblings pointed out the details of the ceremonial robes and golden chains. Teachers and school groups present at the event used the day as an educational opportunity, explaining the city's history and the importance of civic leadership. Lessons became alive as the students could see history unfolding in real time, creating a deeper connection with their city and its traditions. Families shared stories about their own experiences in the city. Parents told their children about the City of London's historic role in trade, finance, and governance. They described how the Lord Mayor show had been celebrated for centuries, combining elements of tradition, culture, and civic pride. Many visitors from other parts of the United Kingdom and abroad expressed fascination at the continuity of these traditions, noting how special it was to witness them in a modern context. People exchanged stories of how they had traveled hours, sometimes even days, to be part of this historic celebration. Every story added a human layer to the grandeur, reminding everyone that history is made meaningful by the people who experience it. Among the spectators, emotions ran high. Some were moved to tears at the sight of a woman holding a position that had been exclusively male for centuries. Elderly men and women nodded in approval, proud that society had reached a point where gender was no longer a barrier to leadership. Young adults discussed the implications of her appointment for gender equality and the importance of diverse representation in civic positions. Conversations shifted from admiration for the parade to deeper reflections on social progress, inclusion, and the role each person could play in building a fairer society. Tourists were equally engaged, marveling not only at the parade and speeches, but also at the reactions of the people around them. Cameras clicked continuously, capturing the expressions of wonder, pride, and joy on the faces of the crowd. Social media feeds filled with photos and videos, accompanied by captions describing the historic significance of the event. Many visitors commented on how inspiring it was to witness such a meaningful milestone firsthand. Some compared it to other civic celebrations around the world, noting that the Lord Mayor show combined history, pageantry, and modern relevance in a unique and compelling way. Street performers continued to entertain those lingering in the crowd. Jugglers, musicians, and acrobats drew applause and laughter from children and adults alike. Their performances added a light-hearted and joyful element to the day, keeping energy high even as the official ceremonies had moved indoors. People applauded freely, creating an atmosphere of celebration that seemed to extend indefinitely along the streets. The performers, aware of the historic nature of the day, played their roles with extra care and enthusiasm, making sure that everyone, young and old, had a memorable experience. The Lady Lord Mayor's presence and achievement were topics of conversation everywhere. People shared their thoughts about her leadership qualities, her dedication to public service, and the barriers she had overcome to reach this position. Many admired her humility, grace, and vision, seeing her as a role model not just for women, but for all citizens who aspired to make a difference. Parents spoke to their children about her accomplishments, using her story as an example of determination, intelligence, and courage. Teachers and community leaders highlighted the importance of representation, explaining how seeing a woman in such a prestigious role could inspire generations of future leaders. In addition to admiration, there was a palpable sense of community pride. Citizens spoke about how the city had come together to celebrate not just the Lady Lord Mayor, but the city's rich history and culture. Volunteers who had helped organize the event were recognized and thanked by friends and neighbors. Small acts of kindness, such as helping a child see over the crowd or guiding tourists to the best viewing spots, strengthened the feeling of shared experience. The day became a reminder that civic celebrations are not only about ceremony, but also about the people who make them meaningful through participation, attention, and support. Local businesses benefited from the crowds as well. Cafes, restaurants, and shops welcomed visitors, offering seasonal treats and refreshments. Many businesses decorated their windows and storefronts to reflect the festive spirit, adding to the vibrant atmosphere. Employees smiled as they served customers, exchanging brief stories and sharing in the excitement. The celebration was not limited to a single street or location. It spread throughout the city, touching every corner and creating a unified sense of pride and joy. Photographers and journalists continued to document the event. Some focused on capturing the grand spectacle, while others sought personal stories from the crowd. Interviews with spectators revealed the depth of emotion surrounding the historic moment. People spoke about what it meant to be part of a city that recognized progress and celebrated inclusivity. Many expressed hope that this milestone would inspire future generations to strive for leadership, equality, and community engagement. These stories added a human perspective to the official record, ensuring that the event would be remembered not just for its pageantry, but for its emotional and social impact. As the afternoon turned into evening, the streets slowly began to empty, but the excitement lingered. Families walked home together, recounting the day's events and discussing their favorite moments. Children practiced marching or waving flags at home, keeping the energy of the day alive. Parents reflected on the significance of witnessing a woman in the role of Lord Mayor for the first time, noting how this milestone would be remembered for years to come. Tourists returned to their accommodations, still capturing photographs and sharing impressions with friends and family, eager to convey the spirit of celebration they had experienced. Even as the crowds thinned, the day's significance continued to resonate. People who had participated in the event felt a connection not only to the Lady Lord Mayor, but also to each other. Conversations about leadership, history, and progress continued, whether on the streets, in homes, or online. The event had sparked discussions about the importance of civic engagement, the role of tradition in modern life, and the value of inclusivity in leadership. It was clear that the celebration had left a lasting impression on everyone who had witnessed it, making them feel part of something greater than themselves. In reflecting on the day, it became evident that the Lord Mayor show had achieved more than a ceremonial milestone. It had brought together people of all ages, backgrounds, and experiences to celebrate history, leadership, and progress. The first female Lord Mayor had inspired admiration, hope, and determination, showing that barriers could be broken and traditions could evolve to embrace inclusivity. Families, students, professionals, and visitors alike carried home memories, stories, and lessons that would influence their understanding of civic responsibility, leadership, and community. The personal stories, reactions, and experiences of the crowd created a rich tapestry of emotion and meaning. The laughter of children, the proud smiles of elderly residents, the admiration of young adults, and the curiosity of tourists all combined to make the day extraordinary. It was a reminder that history is not only recorded in books or ceremonies, but is also lived, experienced, and remembered by the people who witness it. Every wave, cheer, and conversation contributed to the significance of the day, ensuring that the celebration would resonate long after the parade had ended and the speeches had concluded. By evening, as the city streets gradually returned to normal, people reflected on the historic significance of the day. The first female Lord Mayor had been welcomed with warmth, admiration, and respect. Her achievement had not only marked a personal milestone, but it also symbolized the city's ongoing commitment to progress, inclusivity, and civic pride. Citizens felt a renewed sense of connection to their city, its history, and its future, understanding that moments like these were rare and precious. The Lord Mayor Show of 2025 had become more than a ceremonial event. It had become a story of inspiration, unity, and hope for generations to come.